Well, hi, everybody. We had a very good meeting just now with the Vice President, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Acting OMB Director. The main message and focus is the fact that we have a crisis at the southern border. Nobody denies we have a crisis at the southern border. It's absolutely clear it's a humanitarian crisis and it's a security crisis, and we've got to ensure we provide the resources necessary. The President has been and continues to negotiate in good faith. He's giving an address this evening. It's the first time he's given an address from the Oval Office. It shows you the importance of the issue. And at the same time, however, we're in a situation where even though we have provided the information that the Democrats have asked for in terms of detailing what the resources are necessary to use for, they have not responded. They have not come back to us. They've refused to negotiate. So we are absolutely dedicated to making sure that we secure the border and stop the political games, stop the partisan games. And the Vice President was received very warmly and was able to give everybody a very clear idea of where the President stands and his commitment on this issue. So with that, I will turn it over to the whip.
Thank you, Liz. We have a clear crisis at the southern border. I appreciate the fact that President Trump has a strong resolve to solve this crisis while working to reopen the government. What we have seen from Pelosi and Schumer are a refusal to negotiate. This goes back to weeks ago when we passed a bill out of the House to fully fund the remaining agencies of the federal government while solving the crisis at the southern border. That bill went over to the Senate. The president immediately started to offer a negotiation with Chuck Schumer. They started talking numbers through the vice president. And yet not one day did you see a counter offer. Vice President Pence did a great job of addressing our conference to explain how serious this crisis is and to talk about the numbers. The numbers are astounding. They're alarming. I'm sure President Trump's going to go into some of that tonight. But just last year, over 17,000 people with prior criminal convictions tried to cross the southern border and were caught. Those are just the ones we caught, by the way. How many more got through because we don't have a secure border? That's what this is all about. We want to get the entire government reopened while securing the border. You can't have one without the other. You can't say you're for border security and then refuse to support the very things it's going to take to secure the border. These aren't numbers from the president. These are numbers from the experts who are tasked with keeping our country safe, who want to keep our country safe but don't have the tools they need. We're going to see tonight how serious this crisis is at the border, but we've got to get this problem solved. We've got to reopen the government while securing the border. That's what this battle's all about. Leader.
You just had an update from our conference. It was a very positive conference. From the Vice President to the Secretary of Homeland talked about the crisis down at the border, but more importantly, this president, from the day of this partial shutdown was to begin, has been trying to negotiate to an agreement that can keep government open, but more importantly, solve our border problem. When we met last week on last Wednesday, we couldn't get to a point because we didn't have our leadership races done. People had challenges with that. You watched how close some of these leadership races were, so I guess that made a difference. So we waited to come back on Friday. We made some improvement. And in that improvement, we stayed over the weekend. We had staff in there. This is the time to actually solve this problem before we get to the point where federal employees do not get paid. The president is committed to that, to try to solve that problem while keeping the border secure. In those meetings at the White House, every single person says they're for border security. Then you want to ask the definition of border security. That's the fundamental difference. When I watch the floor, it seems like it's more games because those bills are going nowhere in the Senate. Leader McConnell has already said so. The president said he'd veto it. Now is the time to both sides come together, come to an agreement, especially if all sides say they support border security, and find common ground to make sure the rest of government opens back up and we continue to move forward and end the crisis on our border. The president will speak tonight. I look forward to hearing what he has to say. I hope the American people at the same time will be able to listen and find that this president wants to solve this problem, not like others.
Mr. Leader, did the Vice President, did they give any indication whether the president was going to order a national emergency?
They did not touch that topic. The president, I think we'll all be listening tonight to hear where the president wants to go.
And you have concerns if they were, because under President Obama, your side was very concerned, always saying we need to exercise our Article I authority. Would you be okay if the president went that way and went around Congress?
Look, I've watched this president and the number of meetings I have been in with him, with the Democrats on the other side, I've watched the Speaker of the House first interrupt the Secretary, wouldn't let her give her own presentation. Then, as we continue these meetings days later, when the Secretary finally has the ability to give facts out, she says, I disagree with the facts. Well, they're not the Secretary facts. They're the facts that are happening along the border. That's the challenge what we have. We have individuals who say they don't want to talk about anything, even though they say they believe in border security. This is the time to put people before politics, stop playing political games, and this president has worked day in and day out. He stayed here during the process, trying to make sure people came together, find common ground, but this is something the president ran on. This is something the American public understands. We have a crisis on our border, and we have to solve that problem at the same time, make sure government opens back up. Thank you. Hey, I apologize. I don't control the floor anymore.
Is it possible to secure the border without a wall?
Look, the president has talked before. When you secure the border, it's not just a wall, but a wall matters.
Is it
You watch.
necessary in your
Yes,
view?
yes, it is.
Thank you, guys.
Let's go vote.
So can you say whether or not you support the president should emergency? You support it.
Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Anytime.